If you have been called by God, there are going to be points in your life where there is going to be a tension between where you feel He has called you and where you find yourself. And that frustration, that overwhelm, that tangibility of brokenness that you are experiencing can tear you apart if you don't become aware of it and do something about it. So many people think that just because you decide to step out and trust in God, that it's pretty much easy peasy right after that. Easy peasy is such a funny word. Reality is that it's never that simple. It's never so easy that you just make one decision and everything just opens up to you. Everything that has value in life, everything that is truly going to be impactful is going to cost you. It's going to demand something from you. It's going to cause you to have to step out in so many different facets of your being. And it will cause you to have to become more than you already are at the moment of your decision. At the moment of your decision, you reach this plateau. You reach a point where you've decided, I'm going to step out. I'm going to believe in myself enough to make the decision that I know I have been called to make. And so you make that decision, you step out and you believe in yourself and you choose to do it. And many people think that that's the hardest part. And up to that point, yes, many times it's the hardest part because you were full of so much doubt and it's hard to venture into the unknown and it's hard to choose to do something that you've never done before, and maybe you don't believe in yourself. But at the end of the day, all of those emotions and desires and all of those things that were stopping you from making that decision don't just disappear. In many ways, they become amplified. In many ways, God pulls them out and lays them out all on the table for us to have to decide, what am I going to do with all of these companions that I've carried in my journey up until this point? How am I going to carry these things? Will I allow them to continue to be a part of my journey, or is God calling me to let them go? And I'm here to tell you that as you venture into your purpose and as you choose to follow God where He is calling you to go, there are many things you will have to let go of. I call it surgery season. And when I do coaching with my clients and I talk to them about where they are going in their life, I talk to them about the surgery that God puts us through to be able to take us to the place that He wants to get you to. Because the idea here is that when you venture into this new season, there are parts of you, there are pieces of you that cannot go on that journey. There are places that God wants to take you, and if He was to allow you to carry those things with you, you would find that as you venture into that purpose, you would take the opportunities because you know what? They're amazing. They carry a call on your gifting and on your passions and on the insights that you have. And it feels good to be in those things. Maybe it provides for your family. Maybe it gives you a sense of purpose. So you take them, and yet you don't have the character to uphold the gifting, to uphold the purpose that you're walking into. We've seen it so many times in church history. We've seen so many people spoil the name of what it is to follow Jesus and to live in purpose for Him because they never dealt with the character issues that they had. Maybe there were just times where they thought they dealt with things and they really didn't. But for some reason or another, they just didn't make it. And God does not want you to be that. God does not want that to happen to you. And so that's why there are going to be times in our life where we will enter a season of surgery so that God can begin to work in our hearts in such a way that we begin to change into the person that He is calling us to be. You see, when you made that decision was not enough. You thought it was, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't everything that you needed to be able to carry the call that He has in your life. And trust me, I know very well, because when I decided to quit my job and to step out and to start Valley of the Heroic and believe God for what I felt He was calling me into, it felt so good, and it still feels so good. And I would make that decision 1,000 times. But the process of getting to where I am today has been extremely difficult. I've suffered mental breakdowns. I've suffered times where I've decided that I'm just going to quit. I've questioned whether I was hearing God correctly. I've questioned whether God was still with me or if He had a plan and a purpose for my life anymore. I questioned, did I even hear Him correctly in the beginning? I questioned if I was leading my family in the right directions. I questioned and I questioned and I questioned. But one thing that I've realized is that you never bring questions to the surgery table. At that point, all the questions should have been asked. The prognosis has been given. You have been told which part of you is sick. You have been told which part of you needs to change. You have been told where you are going to be taken. And so you deliver yourself into the hands of the surgeon so that they can do work. Are you allowing God to do the work inside of you that he is trying to do through the process that you are in right now? Are you allowing God to work in your heart, in and through the situations that you are going through, to change you into the person that he's calling you to be? Or are you resistant to it because surgery sucks? Are you resistant to it because, you know what, in that process, you wanted to just make the decision in hopes that everything would just figure itself out and that you would be good? Reality is that it's never like that. Reality is that it's never going to be that way. The surgery is a good thing. And why is it a good thing? Because in that process, change occurs. In that process, you become the person that God has called you to be. In that process, he protects you from future pain. He protects you from future worry. Yes, while you're on the table, it might feel completely awful. Yes, while you're on the table, it might feel like you cannot bear the weight of the suffering that you're experiencing, but it is a good thing. So I hope that I can shift your perspective and understanding that while you may feel overwhelmed, while you may feel worried, while you may feel like this is too much for you, understand that God is doing a good thing in and through you. God is doing a work in your heart. And if you would believe in and trust him, you would know that at the end of this all, everything's going to be good. Valley of the Heroic family, thank you guys so much for being here once again. I hope that this message blessed you. If it did, make sure that you share it with somebody else. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper, here's a Bible study that I did recently. Is it over here or over here or somewhere around here? You can click on one of these and watch a Bible study that talks about the need for us to constantly return to Jesus when we are in the midst of process so that we can get everything that we need to continue. If that's something that may help you in the place that you are in right now, make sure that you watch it. God bless you guys. Take it easy. Peace.